storyteller in real life. He and I were taking selfies with Rick Moranis. And that's a true story. Please put your hands together for my table mates in New York City, Mr. Bryan Kett!
Hi. So normally I don't like New Year's Eve. I don't want to get all dressed up to look at a clock. But I loved New Year's Eve 2009. I spent it at a dive bar here in the city with two of my best friends, Dave and Eric. We drank craft beer. There was a great jukebox. And I'll never forget, right before midnight, the song 1999 by Prince came on. Yep. And instead of singing, "Tonight we're going to party like it's 1999, we sang, "Tonight we're going to party like it's 2009, because we're clever." And I cheersed Eric and Dave, and I welcomed in the new year, and in that moment there was this connection of just true friendship, and I cherished it. Because as we got older, things changed a little bit, and we talked a little less. Eric got married, and he bought a designer golden doodle, which is cross between a golden retriever and a poodle, because they can do that now. Dave moved to Ethiopia and started a very prosperous chicken farm, because that's a thing people do. And I worked up the courage to finally try quinoa. So it was just big life events across the board for the three of us, but we were all growing up. We were growing apart. And the connection that had been so palpable, New Year's Eve 2009, it was fading, and I just wanted to go back to that moment. And so last year, Dave invited Eric and me to Ethiopia for Ethiopian New Year's. That's different than our New Year's. Ethiopian New Year's takes place in the fall. Marks the end of the rainy season. And because there's no religious affiliation to the holiday, both Muslims and Christians come out to celebrate. So it's like the biggest party of the year there. And Eric was interested in going, but I was on the fence. I'm a bit risk-averse in quinoa. So, but then Dave told me something absolutely fascinating. So here's where you listen really closely too, because I was floored. Ethiopians believe that Jesus was born 7 years later. And because of this, their calendar is 7 years behind the rest of the planets. So for example, when it was 2007 here, Ethiopians were ushering in the new millennium. Okay? This is the thing. You can Google that later. But I did the math in my head, right? 2015, 2014, 2013, 12, 11, 10, 9. I could relive New Year's Eve 2009 with Eric and Dave. And so I set that anxiety aside. I took a big chunk of my savings and I bought a plane ticket. And in order to maintain these friendships, I needed it to be just how it was before. So same kind of bar, right? Same kind of music, same kind of beer. And to top it off, I went on eBay and I found 3 pairs of those 2009 glasses with the zeros for eyes. And a couple months later, Eric and I got on a plane bound for Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And 9,000 miles later, when we finally touched down, the captain came over the PA and he said, "Happy 2009, everyone." And this jolt ran through my body. I was like Marty McFly getting out of the DeLorean. It worked. And Eric and I put on our fancy glasses. We gave Dave his pair. We met up with him. We took to the streets in the city. It was alive. These men on stilts marched by, and these herds of goats ran past us, and these vendors were trying to sell us sticks of unwrapped gum. And I ignored all this, and I just said, "Dave, where's the nearest dive bar?" And Dave laughed because Ethiopia doesn't have dive bars. Dave said if they did, we wouldn't want to go to them. So, strike one. But we got invited to this party at a club, and when we walked in, the DJ was playing this fusion between tribal chanting and techno. And it's interesting because you think that mashup wouldn't work at all, and you'd be absolutely right. It's terrible. Strike two. And I guess it kind of goes without saying, but there's not much of a craft beer scene in Ethiopia. Just beer that tasted like hot fermented corn. Strike three, and it was all different. It was a different kind of bar, different kind of music, different kind of beer. And I excused myself. And I was sitting outside, still listening to the party, but just so upset that this wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I had designed, and I had wasted so much time and energy and money. And when I was at my lowest, the first and only English song of the night came on. 1999 by Prince. Because if there's a universal constant out there, I think we can all agree it's Prince. And one line stood out that never had before when he sings, "And life's just a party, and parties weren't meant to last." And it just hit me. Then trying to recreate the past, I wasn't appreciating the present at all. And I was in Ethiopia with two of my best friends at the biggest party of the year, and this party wasn't meant to last. And so I snapped out of it. I marched right back inside, and as we sang, "Tonight we're gonna party like it's 2009, 'cause we're clever," I cheersed Eric and Dave, and I rang in that new year again. And that evening, as we danced with locals and drank the corn beer and ate the unwrapped gum, which was probably a mistake, it became readily apparent that this friendship that I thought had faded hadn't gone anywhere. I had just been looking for it in the wrong place, in the wrong time. And the thing is, the connection with those two guys is still there. And I now know that if I ever want to feel that connection, that I don't have to do anything grandiose. I don't have to travel across the world. I don't have to travel back in time. All I have to do with them, one of whom is right over there, is just pick up the phone. Thanks.
Bryan Kett, everybody! What he left out of that story is that Rick Moranis was there too!